let us know by jumping up and down.
Looks
we're
like
live.
We are live.
We're live. Faux show.
That actually is pretty good.
You all right?
It's a little sweet though.
It's a little sharp.
How's that cheese, Huey?
I mean, the cheese is delicious. I won't lie. It's a bit sharp to have alone. Oh
You
god.
get some gravy powder. Oh man.
Want to do us an intro real quick? So I'm chewing.
Are you running the intro?
No, I mean do the spoken part, and then we'll, before the pre-roll.
Oh. Well, we have a bit of a Japanese theme today, as you might have seen. Drinking a little bit of umeshu. So, top Clack a yokozo. We appreciate you coming out. As you probably have noticed from the Reddit posts, we will be having both tokyocofeenerd and Yanbo of Mass Drop on. And we'll be talking a lot about the Tokyo 60 later. So, you know, grab some sake, grab some Sapporo, grab some Hibiki or Suntory or something, and stay in your seats. Go. Brother, please.
Hello everyone and welcome to another wonderful episode of Top Clack. It is the 1st of March. It's here already. Brian's got some Choya. I've got some 10-year age Wisconsin sharp cheddar.
I like that you say it Wisconsin instead of Wisconsin.
I don't know.
No, I actually like it because it's funnier that way. Wisconsin cheese, come on, man. So good.
Today on Top Clack, we have a lot of news, especially pertaining a lot of interest checks for keycaps going on, a few keyboard goodies, and talking about some switches. It'll be pretty good in the hood. Bunny Bugsplat, thank you so much for the sub. Before we get into all that, though, Brian, how are you doing today?
I am doing quite well, especially now that I have some umeshu in front of me. Yeah, feeling good. I always love Thursdays. Definitely one of the best days of my week, always.
Hell yeah.
Donut Cables, thank you for the sub via Twitch Prime. Appreciate that.
Twice, 2 months now.
Hell yeah.
You know, I've been up to things, Brian.
What have you been up to?
I rebuilt my COD 67. That's what I've done. That's what I've been up to.
Ooh, is that Iris on there?
There's Iris on there.
Oh man, nice. That actually looks pretty good.
Yeah, everyone was memeing about Iris and those building guys. As you know, I always ask chat, what key set should I throw on? Everyone's like, lol, Iris with purple. And little do they know, it actually turned out quite well.
It's almost like sometimes you can put colors together and it looks good.
Crazy.
Weird how that works.
Crazy. Thank you for the $1 Canadian Frostbite. Every little bit helps. So I built this with Hako clears and pretty nice.
How are you liking them? Are they linear?
They're not linear, surprising. Okay, if anyone hasn't watched, there's a big, like, literally a 20-minute segment on the build stream where I talked about Hako clears and why they're very, very misunderstood. I understand why a lot of people may not like them. They're not a traditional tactility. They're a very non-traditional tactility. But if you can understand the reasoning behind the tactility, you can better decide if it's a good switch for you.
Yes. Just because it's not the same thing as an MX clear doesn't mean it's not a tactile switch.
I'll probably just have to do another video on that in the future. Olivia, thank you so much for your $1.01. Lisinge, thank you so much for your bits as well. And I also
thanks for the sub.
Yeah, I also built up. So I want to try something out. You know, everyone's been raving about MX Xylens. And those who may not know, there's those MX silent black or silent red stems in Zeal housings. So I built those last night as well. But I didn't lube them because I want to try them for like a week unlubed before I lube them to see the true potential A true difference. What do you think, Brian? Do you think how big of a difference do you think it'll make? Do you think it should a heavy lube, a light lube? It's already pretty squishy with the bumpers, but
You know me, man. I'm kind of the same with my lube always. I like a thin coat of something thin. I don't really like thick lube like a lot of other people. I mean, that's just me, man. That's just me. So, but yeah, it should be pretty good. How are you liking them unlubed?
I think they're decent. There's a little bit of spring noise. It's still pretty nice. Megaforce, thank you for the bits. I have some complaints about them.
Bits everywhere.
TBH, but I think they'll be much better lubed. How are you enjoying the Tokyo 60 that you built the other week and that we'll be talking about later?
I'm really liking it. Like I said earlier, I think it's definitely would be like my travel board if I needed one. Not that I travel a lot, but I could definitely get down with it. I like it a lot.
Ooh.
Very good value.
We like it when you get down with some value.
Hey, that's what I'm known for. Lisinge, Canadian Frostbite, and Megaforce, thank you all so much for the bits. And Grundy as well. All right, so now that we got some people in here and everyone's warmed up and hopefully, maybe drinking something good. If you're drinking responsibly and legally, Top Black does not endorse underage drinking. Yeah, or you have a block of cheese like Huey. Cheers.
Cheers, guys.
In any case, let us go into some news before we later on bring on Yanbo of Massdrop and tokyocofeenerd of the Tokyo 60.
And now we must do the news. And starting off on the news is its interest check here for the DSA Season of the Witch, which I feel like we did cover a long time ago, but it looks like it is much more put together now than it was.
There's a real renderer now.
Right?
So that's
crazy.
That's a better start.
Let's do a little bit of that going on. Let's just go to the straight up the Keycap on Keycap because it'll probably be more detailed. So this is a set by CTRL control. The renders are beautifully done by Ablotsky. Got the IMO 2014 orange and blue going on, like back when Portal was big and all those other few like games all through that year. There's like orange and blue is the thing, but orange and blue do have great contrast.
Yeah, this actually looks pretty good. I would buy it.
I like the base color, that very very dark blue for the base. Aside from that, maybe not my cup of tea.
He does have a very well put together thread here, though. He's got a lot of information, formatted really well, and he's got like a little schedule towards the bottom as well. So as you can see, he just got that one with color correction, and now he's working on the developing of the kits, the novelties and stuff. So it's working through it. Doing some things, some stuff. So
it looks like he is planning to run it through Massdrop, which is the poll is up if you're interested in that and want to support it. If you like big contrast sets, this is kind of one of those big contrast sets. That dark blue alphas would go pretty well with a decent amount of cases.
Yeah.
But that is that. What a next piece of news. Another interest check for GMK Battlegrounds / Unknowns, which is, I'm guessing, is a set inspired by Players Unknown Battlegrounds, aka PUBG, aka a bad game everyone decides to play together, and it's only
a bad game that everyone loves.
Yeah, and it's only okay because you play it with other people. Like I've played the game a few times. I own it. I'd never play it solo. But that's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about the sets. It's got some colors going on.
Yeah, it does.
A little bit minus the red and blue. Kind of remind you of a Serica Industry hybrid.
Yeah. Yeah, of course. I mean, I've said it a few times on the show already, but like, I think we're kind of at the point where it's hard to come up with a key set that doesn't at least somewhat resemble another key set or a hybrid of multiple key sets.
Yep. Like,
this is kind of where we're at. Like, every key set that comes out, you're like, everyone's like, it looks like this, or it looks like a combination of this and this. People don't like look at key sets as a new thing anymore. It's like, what is it closer to? It's just, we have so many interest checks for key sets, so many group buys for key sets nowadays that it's tough, man. It's tough to be like 100% original.
But color-wise, I don't think it's that bad. I just wish people would start by getting us real renders first. Like, show us they're so committed to an idea before there's...
I agree. Like our last set had renders by Ablatsky, but it was still an interest check. I do kind of understand, because oftentimes a lot of the people that do the renders in this community, like Thesis Camper, and I imagine Oblatsky does as well, but they charge for the renders.
Yeah.
I mean, it's work they're putting into it, and that's reasonable. But not everyone wants to run an interest check and pay for renders if it's just gonna flop. And this one, you never know. There's a lot of colors going on here, though. I think there's a little too much going on. If you just use the base set, it's not terribly bad. It does have that kind of Serica / heavy industry hybrid there, which is nice, but all these extra colors, like for the add-on kits, seem a little over the top. Does look like he will have an option for a blank Plonk set though, add-on, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, some people are into that.
Yeah. Price, he says, hopefully around 120 USD. And depending on where he runs it, that's probably pretty generous. So, I don't know. Being totally honest, the set probably won't come to life anyways.
Yeah.
Maybe.
There's a lot of strong people trying to push yellow, or I mean, a lot of sets trying to strongly push yellow. No different from this next set, GMK Current, which has some yellow alphas going on with this blue theme. This is by Jamefer Later. Has one render from that one render website that was open for a little bit.
Yeah, and you know what?
What?
That's actually not that bad of a render either. Like, that gives us a way better idea of what it could look like. So even if, like, that's the renders that you get, it's still free, right? Like, people should still be using this instead of just doing...
I think he changed the charge now a little bit because of how many requests he got, yeah.
Alright, that's probably fair.
Which is fair.
But if it's, like, really cheap, or if it's free, then you might as well just use this, because it's better than not having any, like, legit renders. I mean, obviously, it's not as good as having a professional do it for you, but it's still quite a bit better than nothing.
Yeah, and you know what's better than nothing? Oh, also check the set out if you haven't had a chance. But you know also what's better than nothing? Having at least 2 rows rendered than no rows rendered, like with some sets. Next up is GMK Neon Gelatin Evangelism by Donut Cat, who I mentioned that because if you look in the second post, he only has 2 rows rendered, which is fair. It gives us a better idea of the colors, and it's probably cheaper.
He says it even. He says, I mean, I'm not going to pay for renders for the initial spitballing. For interest check, I don't blame you, but it is always better to have renders because people will know like what it could look like, and so they're more willing to join a group buy. Because it's hard to show interest for something when like you have no idea what it's going to look like.
Yeah.
But looks pretty cool here. Very bright, loud, in your face kind of set. But as a weeb, I do appreciate the Japanese sub-legends there.
Hell yeah.
That's definitely becoming more of a thing.
I definitely consider it. My worry is I saw in this that people would want him to like have like orange accents somewhere because of the eyes and smaller other parts. I'm like, nah, leave that out. This is good as is. Dual color, dual tone.
Yeah, no, I dig it. Yeah, you don't need like 100 different colors in a set. Yeah, like two colors is like totally fine. Really is.
Dual tone, please. Hopefully, I'm kind of hoping this goes places. It's weeby. Yeah. I like that.
Yeah, we like that here at Top Clack. We like our anime and our waifus.
Yeah. So speaking of liking things that are a bit obscure, is another interest check we have. This one is from Jebra, and it's for an Ortho-Only key set in GMK Goodness. Switches. GMK and only supports ortholinears because screw everyone else, Jabra decided. I want to have a set after GMK Mondrian that is Legends and just for us ortholinear people. It'll cover the Planck, Prionic, XT75, Atreus, Atreus62, Diverge 2, Terminus Mini 2, Diverge 3, and any keyboards with a 1U grid spacing up to 15 by 5.
I appreciate this.
Yeah.
I'd like to see a price.
That'd be cool.
Because something like this is really specialized, right? Like when you buy this, you can't use it on a normal board. You have to use it on ortho board. So, and obviously that's even more niche within our niche. So like this, I don't think this can really be like.
I think it'll do fine.
$100
if you.
I think something like this needs to be like $70.
That'd be very nice. That would be very nice. I think the only time to really run it would be during the next Planck drop. Like, when else?
Yeah, I can see that, but it does look pretty good. At first, I don't know if this is a typo or not, but he says it's called GMK Goodness, but he forgets an S at the end of Goodness. But I wonder if that means
good NES. That's not the pose of an NES.
Yeah, but he kind of had that like general theme going on here, so I wasn't really sure. So maybe it is just a typo. Either way, it's always cool to see key sets specifically support ortho. I like to see it at a lower price because usually the ortho boards do tend to be quite a bit cheaper than like a lot of other customs. Like you can get those cheap Planck and Planck alternatives, the ones that are like just PCB material or whatever, for like $20, $30, $40, you know. So you don't really want to. It's like buying a Magic Force and putting like a GMK set on it, right? Like you spend virtually no money on the keyboard, and then you spend 2.5, 3 times the cost on a GMK set. It's like, well, what's the point at that point?
I feel like if I had a nemesis in the keyboard world, it'd be someone who uses a Magic Force with a GMK rainbow on it. That person.
I know what I'm doing tomorrow.
Would be like my antithesis. Like if this was like an anime, like that would be like the overarching villain. Like they would start as my friend in season 1, but then like by season 8 or 9, they slowly start becoming evil. And I'm just like, what happened? We were best friends. And he's like,
oh my God.
But I was evil all along. I'm like, no. And then I have to like, I don't know, stab a key puller through his, or then pull his heart with a key puller out by like the final episode.
Oh man.
But speaking of sets that are oddly specific, a new group buy that has started is GMK 60's Happy Life, which is over at Donut Cables. It is basically HHKB for you. And normal 60% layouts.
Yeah, looks like it's so similar to like 3-run. It supports only 60% layouts.
So it has all the legend options like the HHKB does, like the Diamond and the OSX pad printed, I'm guessing. It's pad printed, probably, on the same key. Supports 6U. I mean, it's very, very simple, very, very basic. Just, if you like 60% you like very, very clean, go for it. And I think it looks clean. I think it looks good. Not bad, yeah.
No, I mean, it looks good. Okay, once again, here's kind of a problem. So this is obviously a little bit more specific than most GMK sets, as it only supports 60%. So what is the base
110
here? So okay,
for no tray.
At 150 MOQ, it's 110 for the base kit. Base kit is what? Just HHKB with the wrong shift.
Has HHKB, has all your 1.25 mods, one keyless, has all the normal. It's the
oh, I see. Okay,
yeah.
okay. Yeah. So still kind of once again 110. Maybe, I mean, you're definitely not getting as many keys as you would if this was maybe like a full set through. I mean, I hate to just compare it to like Mass Drop because it's not really like fair, but like, you know, we're seeing a lot of $100 to $120 full GMK sets. So something has to be really on point here for 110 for way less keys.
The add-ons is for 65% support.
Yeah,
That's what it looks
and
like.
in a 2U shift, I think is what that is.
No, it's,
Yeah,
is it? That looks like an
I think
additional
I think it's 2U
2.25.
because it has. I don't know. I could go either way. I mean, I guess it could. Both would make sense. 2U would make more sense these days, but an extra 2.25 just to support the that Leopold keyboard, 660M or whatever.
I like how it looks, though. I really do. It's simple.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's nice. I mean, it's very reminiscent of something like 9009 or Muted, which is fine.
Mm-hmm.
I hope we hit a good MOQ. I think this really needs to be sub $100 for the base kit. Maybe I'm being too greedy there, but I don't know. At 500 units, it goes sub.
You know it's going to be not cheaper than $110.
Any essay set?
Any actual essay set by SP, like this interest check for essay Symbiosis round 2. Thank you, Apocalypse, for the sub. Yeah, this person did have, just apparently they have an email where they have permission to run Symbiosis. So round 2 is a thing.
Yeah, that set's a few years old now, right?
Yeah.
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 Looks pretty good.
Yeah.
Essay set.
Yeah.
You can't just keep saying that, man.
Yeah. The real star of the show really is the alphas. In my opinion, that's the start of the show. You could have the mod, that blue color for the mods is amazing as well, but you could change those colors to a lot of different colors, and the set would still look so beautiful because of the alphas.
It's like, it's in that same sense, it's like Space Cadet, right?
Yeah.
Like, I don't even care about this color as a Space Cadet. Like, it looks, it's cool, it's vintage, but like those legends. That's what this is all about.
How much do you think it's gonna be for a base TKL?
Base TKL, $1,150.
Oof, you're $1,000 higher than I would have expected. But
a base kit to cover only standard stuff. I mean, probably at least 100 to 150.
When do you think it's gonna ship out?
2021.
That's fair. I'm not gonna contest that one.
Am I being too unrealistic here?
Yeah, I like how it looks. I would consider getting it, even just as a display set, TBH.
Faux show, because who wants to use SA, right? Come on.
Yeah.
If you haven't discovered our Lord and Savior Cherry profile, then you're probably not doing things right, anyways.
Cherry profiles are great, and I have Cherry profile on my COD 67, which is the next topic for today. The group buy for COD 67 has started. It is on like Donkey Kong, or whatever the Chinese equivalent is. It's gonna be limited to only 75 units, and they are running low.
Yeah, so I kind of wish this wasn't limited to 75 because I feel like that's a little on the low side. Like it's a really cool board though. He and I both have one. I don't have mine close enough to grab, so I'm not gonna go get it. But Huey can show his off. But really neat board. I've been saying it a lot lately, but I really like a lot of the ways like the Chinese designers have been doing keyboards lately. Like for instance, this and the Alpha X2 and the teaser upcoming for the Alpha X3. I think they get a lot more creative with their designs than the Western community does. Western community, not necessarily to say it's bad or anything, because it's not, but we tend to focus a lot more on staying like super classic and elegant, and that's also very good. But to a certain point, it can get a little dull and boring, and I think that a lot of these Chinese designers are making it a bit more refreshing in my eyes.
Mm-hmm.
And not to mention, full kits are usually substantially cheaper as well.
So we are working on a review, but one thing we will say is a major complaint that we both have is, like a lot of people address in chat, like forced arrows. It's a 60% layout. I don't understand why they couldn't have given an option for a 60%, plate, even standard, but win keyless preferably, right? And a standard 6% PCB. Like this would be amazing if you didn't have to have that arrow cluster.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think if you do a 60% keyboard, you have to at least have an option for the more standard 60% layouts. I think forcing arrow keys is kind of silly. I think that in the Chinese community, most people that use 60%, they prefer the arrows, so maybe that has something to do into it.
It definitely
so when they
does.
design a keyboard, they're like, hey, like just arrows, like there you go, like that's what you got to use. And in the Western community, we kind of get punished for it a little bit, but regardless, the keyboard overall is still quite nice. Huey and I will have a review out for it soon.
Yeah, and the one surprising thing I did want to say is it's still a pretty good keyboard, and I'm saying that, and I didn't realize until when they told us, we actually received B-stock units. I'm like, really?
Really?
Yeah, we received these are B-stock units.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, this is a pretty good B-stock unit.
Yeah, the only issue I had with mine was just the slight height difference on the weight and the insert, but apparently that's going to be fixed in the actual run. So,
yeah, it's B stock. That's why mine didn't have that issue, but yours did. Apparently, there's some other small things about it.
I looked over mine pretty well, and
yeah,
even the bow was totally fine. I didn't find any imperfections, so good to know, I guess. You can also customize the weight, not just in text, but you can actually you can send vector files to get cool. Your own personal design. Apparently, when the group buy ends, they will be emailing you or whatever for a chance to customize your accent thing. I call it an accent because if it's aluminum, it's not an additional weight.
Man, this board has so many good things going for it, and it's only let down by the fact you're forced to use arrow keys. Like center USB-C mount, awesome. The underglow, the under/side glow, I think is really awesome because it's not too in your face. It's very nice and subtle. I like how the front, where the USB port goes in, is tucked in actually, which is really, really nice. I like the design of the bezels. What that arrow cluster?
Huey and I we're too American, the arrow keys, but like I said, still a great board and at a pretty good price. The base kit starts at $265, I think. Let me just
fill things in.
Yeah, here we go. $265 is the base price, and I imagine just like on Z Frontier, everything else over $100, free shipping. So $265 base kit shipped, and that will come with your PCB as well. So pretty good stuff.
You can have a titanium plate. That's cool.
Yeah. Actually, yeah, when they told me that, I was like, wait, sign me up for one of those. I actually don't know if we're supposed to say this, but so it is limited to 75 units, and they're not that far away from that. So if you do want one of these, get it soon, because you're going to be missing your chance very soon as well.
The amount they have left is probably around the range between Brian and I's ages.
In before dropped.
In before dropped.
No. I don't know if they actually wanted us to say it on stream, but it's probably it's fair to mention.
It is fair to mention.
So if you do want one of these, make sure you get it soon, because otherwise you're not going to be able to very soon.
Yeah. We were talking about pricing things earlier. You know it's really expensive, Brian? Like extremely expensive. The Founders Edition of the E6 V2, which is available in the Round 2 group buy that started this week. Yeah, Brian, I both have E6s. They're pretty amazing. They're pretty fun.
I'm using mine right now, actually.
Mine is just right here. Barely off camera in a case. But hey, it is a thing. It is real. Let's look at the color collection. There's some new colors this round. There's some new things you got going on.
Yep.
E6. Yep. It's real.
E6 V2. round 2.
So cool thing I like, he added 1U blocker support if you wanted to do the wind keyless option. He also added the skinny blockers, kind of like on the E8, RIP E8.
Yeah.
Yeah. Man, that cyan looks, that teal looks really nice. The new blue looks nice. That olive green looks really nice. What, dark green, whatever they want to call it.
Dark green as well.
Polycarb plate, carbon plate, aluminum, brass. You got options up the wazoo.
Yeah, he's going hard on this.
He's going hard.
He did a fantastic job on round 1. The product was great and the timeline was great. I would not hesitate at all to join this group buy. I'm really jealous of the wind keyless option now. I wish that were an option in round 1.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to get one of those. Just saying, I signed up to hopefully try to get a spot in the Founders Edition. Limited to 10.
That's so expensive, man.
All the brass weight, brass bottom, brass mid piece, brass top. Oh, and I'm gonna get mine in wind keyless.
That's pretty outrageous.
Yeah, it's extremely outrageous. Part of me hopes
outrageous.
I get it, and the other part of me hopes like I'm like number 11 or number 12 that signed up, and it's like, oh, I guess I can get it.
All right, so for you people that are not quite as baller as Huey, then you're more like myself. The standard kit starts at $320, which is, I think, pretty much on point for the round 1 as well. I think that's like exactly what it was basically. So not too bad at all considering what you get. It's a pretty fantastic product, and yeah. you should buy one.
You should buy one. Exclusive is a wonderful person to support.
You should buy one. Should buy one.
Should buy one.
Shipping is there as well. So it's $48 if you're in the U.S., $40 if you're in Asia, and pretty much everywhere else is going to be $55. There are 4.4% PayPal fees on top of that as well. So obviously that's going to be a little bit on top of the price, but that's kind of to be expected with most of these group buys. It opened yesterday, 28th. Wait, yesterday was the 20th. Yeah, so it opened yesterday. It closes the 12th of March, so 11 days from now. So you have a little bit of time to think about it. Keyboards will be shipped out at the end of May. If it were anyone else, I would say that's an unbelievable timeline. But I think Exclusive actually might be able to deliver on that timeline.
Yeah.
Because the last one was like less than 3 months, and it was his first time running the E6. So now that he's a bit more comfortable with it, I think it's probably going to be as fast or faster.
Yeah, I like how for the pricing he put like box packaging free. Thanks, man.
Yeah.
Thanks, man.
His English, not the best, but he does usually get the point across just fine, and he is a very nice man.
So one big change he's doing from round 1. So the design of the case is actually going to be slightly different. So like round 1 parts actually won't be compatible in building the board. Also, all of his PCBs are only going to be center port now. Because he complained, I remember he was actually talking on our Discord complaining about there's too many SKUs for his PCBs. He had left mount GMK, left mount boot mapper, center mount GMK, center mount boot mapper.
Yeah,
there were
4.
Just center. Center looks better, even though unfortunately you can't replace him as easy. It looks better. We're gonna go for it, and I am okay with that.
That's logistically better, and center mount does look better. IMO.
Oh,
but
if I don't get the brass, I need to decide on a color, huh?
I think you got to utilize that teal.
That dark green though.
Yeah, they're both the new colors.
The thing is,
pretty awesome.
I would have got the dark green as a backup color if I got GMK Camping, but unfortunately I did not. Unless I snag an extra when they ship. Because that would be a nice combo. That teal, I can just put my GMK Cyan on and be like, oh, you're blind.
Yeah, that's pretty good. It's pretty good, man.
You know what's pretty good, though?
Yes.
Yes, what is it, Brian?
M65-A Cosmic edition.
Oh, that lilac,
also pretty good.
Oh, that
'Cause
lilac.
That lilac.
Sorry,
That lilac's pretty
sorry,
legit.
Red. Red, you're like, you're the second. You're the middle child of the only two children here of this buy.
Yeah.
But you're still the middle child. It's all about that lilac.
It's pretty good. You know what's actually funny is the red has sold more units first.
Well, it's also the only one. Is it only one stock? No, yeah, it is. Maybe he's ordered less reds because he knew.
That's also possible. Yeah.
You can also mix and match top and bottom if you're.
So, even though on Instagram he did say that this is round 2, it's really kind of not round 2. And a lot of people were kind of up in arms over the terminology because he had once stated on Geekhack that he wasn't planning on running a round 2 because of how much work it took. This is a lot different. There are only 2 options. Well, 2 color options, then pretty limited options after that. That you have to get the brass PVD plate, you have to get the brass PVD weight. It does come with a PCB, but there are only 2 colors, so like it's a lot less of a round. This is very different from round 1 of the M65, and this isn't even a group buy. This isn't even a group buy.
Nope.
He has these in stock on hand, so like they'll ship out to you immediately. This wasn't a group buy. So just something to consider. Price is more expensive than round 1, obviously, but it also does already include that PVD brass plate and weight. So not terribly unrealistic here, I think.
So I'm not gonna lie. So I wanted to join a Zephyr. I did not join the Zephyr because I'm banking that I'm gonna be irresponsible and get one of the Founder Edition E6s. But really, if you're considering a premium 65 that would be available or running now, it'd be this or the Zephyr, which just ended yesterday, right?
Yeah.
Between the two, I honestly would pay the $100 and change more for the Zephyr than I would the M65. And that's without even trying a Zephyr, but owning an M65.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the Zephyr definitely does have some benefits over the M65 as well. So I mean, it has SMD RGB on the PCB. Does it have the KL hot swap sockets? I always forget.
No, it does not.
Okay, but it does have the SMD RGB LEDs.
Yes.
It does have that 5mm brass plate PVD that is able to have switches clip into it, which is to me still crazy. So, pretty awesome stuff. Either way, I don't think you'd be disappointed with the board. But if you want an M65 because you missed round 1 or you just can't get one, I mean, these honestly aren't even like any more expensive than if you buy an M65 on like Mech Market right now.
They're cheaper than the ones in Mech Market.
Yeah, I mean, I've been seeing them go for 500 plus. So
yep.
To get an objectively better M65 immediately at a lower price than the aftermarket of the round 1 is actually not that bad.
Yep.
So pretty cool stuff. Those are pretty limited though, so make sure if you want one, you join it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what you could put in the M65 or your Zephyr?
I know. Some Hako Switches available now at our partner input club, Kono.store. A very, in my opinion, misunderstood Switch. Probably partially due...
most misunderstood Switch.
Probably, yeah. Partially part of it due to their description. Their description is still correct. It's just interpreted wrong by most people because of how people interpret tactility. IMO.
Yeah, we're not going to delve too far into this at the moment because it's kind of a topic that we could talk about for a while at length, in depth. So we'll do that maybe another time because a lot of people are, they don't really understand them, and they thought that Hako Switches would be like another Zelio or something.
People told me they thought it'd be like a Holy Panda, and I'm like, what? Nani?
Anyways, regardless of how they turned out, they are a pretty decent Switch, actually. I'm typing on my clears right now. I absolutely love them. But it isn't another Zelio.
No.
And I think a lot of people were expecting that. It's not a standard tactile MX Switch. It's quite a bit different. And if you don't understand that, then you might not appreciate it as much as someone that does.
Which honestly, that is fine. I
Yeah.
understand why a lot of people won't like it. It's not traditional. It's very untraditional, and usually untraditional things are a hard sell and a hard adjustment.
Yeah, but again, we'll talk about this another time. This is not really a topic for right now.
Yes, but
Don't
no,
really
they are
have
available,
time for it.
and they're actually running very, very low. So it might be a little bit until the next shipment comes in. So if you wanted to try these or you want to get them to populate a board, probably better get them sooner than later, because when they run out, you might be having to wait a little bit for the next shipment, or you can always pop over.
If you want to ever hop over to Novelkeys, they are now stocking Hako Switches courtesy of Input Club. So he does have some, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, the price is exactly the same too.
Mm-hmm. He sells them in 10 packs. As Mike always does.
Yeah, so you can actually get a little bit more of a finite amount here if you don't want all 120. So you can get some packs there. And yeah, it does look like 50 cents a switch. So the price is the same, either vendor. So no need to pick one. Support either.
Yes, which are our awesome partners. Do we need to cover this last topic? I feel like we're running out of time. I think we should just...
We'll skip the last one, but just a quick note on Novelkeys. We'll jump into... actually, we'll just jump into the sponsor spot right now, because this post is very well tied into that. So Novelkeys, one of our fantastic sponsors, super awesome guy, novelkeys.xyz, promo code TOPCLACK, 55% off all of your... Well, everything that you order from there, if I'm not mistaken. So make sure you get some switches from there. Obviously, we just said he has Hako switches now. He's got all these sick Kale switches that are pretty unique to him. You know, he's got the box navies and the box jades, which have been very popular. The box navies are probably one of the best switches ever. I like them a lot.
The navies?
Yeah, I think the navies are freaking fantastic.
They are amazing.
And I don't even like clickies. Like, I don't ever really like or use clicky switches, but I like the navies, man. They're really good. Anyways, he just recently switched over his website to Shopify from, I don't remember what he was using before, but he has now switched over fully to Shopify, so it should be a little bit faster, a little bit smoother of an experience while you're buying than what he had previously, which is cool.
Check out his desk mats.
Yeah, man, the desk mat GB pretty awesome. Actually, he makes a comment in this post, or maybe it was another one. We was talking about the stitched edges, and wow, why am I not seeing this now?
It's on the news doc, dude. Scroll down.
Oh, it's a different post though. Sorry. I'm looking at this one, the first one. So, yeah. Anyways, sorry about that. So, yeah, make sure you check out the Deathmat GB, because the price is pretty darn fantastic, if I do say so myself. It's like $14, and it is actually a really cool Deathmat. It has stitched edges. It's huge. It's got sick designs on it. Key set themed. I'm rocking the Apollo Godspeed one.
R.I.P.
Yeah, I kind of ruined it with my desoldering iron. Feels bad, man. But that's my fault because I'm stupid. Anyways, they are pretty awesome regardless. You should definitely check one out. And he has that post that I just linked. He's talking about how to do the edges.
The edges go to the edge now. I mean, the design goes to the edge now, which is awesome. The vote has already been over.
Put it to a vote.
And that's what passed, and I think that's going to be the most baller look.
Yeah, I think it. I could see both ways working really well, but yeah, the one I have is not a production model, so I'd have black stitched corners around everything. So either way, I think these are going to look a lot better. I'd dig it. So tell me about our Beast in the East.
Beast in the East. Z Frontier currently running that COD 67 we talked about earlier, and we'll be reviewing soon enough in a first ever Top Clack dual review. Ooh.
Oh yeah.
They're also running that Elemento FR87, that TKL goodness with that brass half plate option, USB-C, Bluetooth connectivity. Yeah, that's pretty legit shit, as well as all the awesome, amazing keycaps they have stocked all the time, because they have a lot of things going on. One of the biggest stocks of keycaps and other things you can get. And if you can read Chinese, they have a pretty cool Chinese website with their awesome Chinese community where they have very interesting posts about keyboards and computer components occasionally.
We won't talk about that.
We don't talk about that.
That's NSFW. But yes, and right now you can still pick up the COD 67 for a very limited time, and of course the FR 87 is also still available if I'm not mistaken.
Hell yeah!
Pretty good stuff. And of course we have Input Club, who just got in all their Hako switches like we were talking about, and you can get some of the last of their stock.
So I got some insider scoop.
Ooh, I like that.
That I can share. The Akira 96 keyboard is coming out sooner than people might expect. TBH.
Oh.
It's gonna be under $200. TBH.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's actually pretty cool.
Yeah.
Because after having been like checking out the prototype when I was at NorCal, seems like a pretty solid board for that price. Like, yeah. It actually feels like a legit custom, like a, I don't know, like pretty comparable to like a ZZ96 in terms of like heft and quality. So that's pretty cool to know. Very nice. Well, while you're on Kono.store waiting for that, you can pick up some Hako switches for the last of their stock that they have in right now, and you can head over to the apparel section and grab a top Clack shirt. Helps us out a lot. We don't pimp those enough, man. You guys should buy some top Clack shirts.
Or White Fox. Or well, actually no, the White Fox hats are actually gonna be off their store a little bit while they ship Hako switches because of people confusing with multiple order stuff. I have the most special White Fox hat though. People didn't see it the last stream when I wore it, but I have the Derp Fox.
Wait. Oh, the eyes.
The Derp Fox.
I didn't even realize. Wow. Do all of them have that, or is that
just
like
just mine? It's funny because it's actually a production error because the eyes aren't supposed to be like raised and bulged either. They're supposed to be like flat with the white part. But the fact that they're like bulging out and beady, and I have the Derp Fox. They're like, "Oh, we'll replace it right away." I'm like, "Well, you can replace it, but I'm going to keep this one as well if you replace it because
I like Derp Fox. That's a great name for it too.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, make sure to pick up a top Clack shirt because, you know, more people need those. They look great. They feel great. Price is pretty reasonable. Helps us all out more than you think. And, yeah.
No, who else helps us all out?
Zeal. Is it? Yeah.
Our other sponsor, who is awesome. Just concluded his group buy for the Zephyr. It's pretty good. It's a pretty good board. I wish I had one. I wish I could get one. Maybe I will in the future.
It's possible we'll still be able to get at least a temporary review sample of this, which would be really, really awesome. So I'm really hoping that happens. But Zephyr aside, since that just ended, you could still pick up some pretty great switches. The
Telios, guys.
Telios, I think, are the best linear that you can buy at the moment for MX format. Being totally honest, guys. Always totally honest here. It doesn't matter that there are partners or not. A good product is a good product. So they definitely have Telios in. Really good stuff. You can also pick up the Zelios. I think the ones with the upgraded springs, the 67 and 78 gram in particular, I think are very, very good.
Very nice too. Yes, I have the 78 gram Xylens on my E6, which actually, after a little bit more of using it, I've been swapping the boards a lot for reviews, so I haven't had much time to use it. But after a little while, I do plan on desoldering them and trying them with lube as well, which has been highly recommended. So stay tuned, guys. I have a lot of lube in the future. But...
just how I like you, Huey.
Ooh.
Just how I like you.
Yeah, man, we have great sponsors. Yeah, check out all his awesome stuff. Those Xylens, yeah, they're a bit pricey. We'll say that too, even though he's a sponsor. Yeah, they definitely are.
But a little pricey.
Definitely a unique experience.
Yeah, I think Silent Telios need to come out soon.
Yeah, Silent Telios is what I'd be more excited in because you buy those, you lube those, no need for MX Xylens.
Exactly. Like, it's going to completely take over that particular market, which is pretty cool because it's only one Switch. You don't need two Switches to make it. Anyways, thank you very much to all of our sponsors. As usual, we appreciate it. They help make the show what it is, and they make it so we can do things, which is cool.
And thank you, everyone who watches, subscribes, and donate bits. You also help a lot to make us be able to do all this awesome stuff we love to do.
A lot more than you think. A lot more than you think.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, enough about that. We do have two guests to bring on. We have both Yanbo of Massdrop and Pretty Boy Extraordinaire. And then we also have Alvin, who is tokyocofeenerd, designer of the Tokyo 60. And if I'm not mistaken, on Massdrop, Tokyo 60 is still running, so this is very relevant. So I'm going to go ahead and get those gentlemen in here.
I'm going to do the insert transition screen, and while I do that, I do want to say, for the castle design stream tomorrow, we are changing the time. Instead of 10 p.m., it's going to start at 8 p.m. Pacific. So it's going to be a lot earlier, which is great. Yay. And we're going to be working on the CNC version of the castle keyboard, a 128 key monstrosity, which is amazing.
I do like amazing.
Oh, yes. There is one guest
right.
in. We have two guests in. I'm going to transition to the screen.
Yes.
Now they can see everyone, as well as a blast from the past. I'm sure a lot of you haven't seen this layout in a long time.
Yeah, we, for whatever reason, didn't have an updated, modern 4-person layout. So it's been a while since we've had two guests on the show. So we are going a little bit old school, but still pretty nice. Anyways, regardless, Yanbo, Alvin, how are you fine gentlemen doing today?
Hey guys, doing well. Good morning. You know, not
doing
quite
great
anymore.
Thank you for having us, though.
Of course, always. So just in case people might not know who you are, we have had both of you on in the past, but, you know, we get new viewers all the time. So if you guys wouldn't mind introducing yourselves and who you are, what you do in the community, we'll start with Yanbo here.
Sure. My name's Yanbo, and I work for Massdrop, and I essentially work with all the community members to kind of make any community-driven projects, collaborations kind of come to life for mechanical keyboards. Yeah, you've probably seen me around, and if you ever need to talk to me, I'm on Reddit, I'm on Massdrop, I'm on Keycaps, message me. A lot of people do those. So if I ever don't respond within like a couple days, just message me again.
That's pretty good. So, yeah, I'm Alvin, the designer of the Tokyo 60. I am not Vector's replacement. You will never be able to replace Vector. Okay, whoever said that. Okay, don't say that, man. He's a good guy.
I don't know, man. I think I'd rather have you than Vector. Just kidding. I'm sorry.
It's cool, man. I can't wait for that guy to move to Tokyo, though. You know, he's so much fun. So.
Actually, I wonder how much our audience has changed to where a lot of people might not know who Vector is. They might not remember that TalkBlack actually had 3 hosts for a while.
For the most of its runtime.
The last time you saw him was like September.
Yeah.
So.
He has been doing some crazy projects and stuff, right? From what I've seen.
Yeah, he's in the middle of getting his doctorate. He's been traveling a lot, so he's doing like like real life non-keyboard stuff.
He's like deep into VR, man. Like he's working on some crazy research. So
that's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
Yep. So that's pretty crazy. Anyways.
Oh shoot! Hey guys, you're right. I've been working on this keyboard for too long. What? Whoa.
Ooh, it's a new month.
Oh.
That's so very Japanese of you.
And welcome to TalkBlack. So.
Yokoso. Anyways, yeah. So now that we both have both of you gentlemen on the show today, we can maybe talk a little about the Tokyo 60, since that's arguably one of the most anticipated boards of this year. And now we can get like the inside look, and we can just probe you guys for information, and it'll be really awkward and uncomfortable, which is just the way we like it on Top Clack.
Excellent.
So, yeah. So, take us through a little bit of the journey, Alvin, and then we'll get Yambo's comments on how the collaboration is going.
Sure. I mean, I've been on here before, so talking about how this whole design came about. And through all that, got to meet with Yanbo over at the NorCal meetup, and I think from there, like, hey, this is pretty cool. I think we can make something cool happen. So, took that, kind of ran, and I guess here we are, and super happy that was able to work out, because from the beginning, the whole point of the Tokyo 60 has been to get something that's not only just good but super accessible and affordable. So. Yeah, I'm not sure. I definitely would not have been able to do it myself. I can't pack and ship all that stuff without screwing it up, or get that certain MOQ. So just super happy all that came together.
Cool. So if anyone is living under a rock and you might not know what the Tokyo 60 is, I'm gonna go ahead and put a link in chat. It's right there on Massdrop currently. $200 gets you a sweet housing with an integrated plate. You get a hot swappable PCB. I think that price even includes the keycaps, right? Yeah. So you get like a full board. I imagine it comes with stabilizers, right? Still.
GMK stabilizers, actually, screw-ins.
Awesome.
Very nice.
We got fancy ones.
I think I read through the thread again, and like I think you still forgot to add that.
Oh.
Even though I tried to pester you about it, you still forgot it. But to me that's a big selling point, because if you buy a keyboard kit, it should come with stabilizers. Like, that's just kind of like a no-brainer. And to also have GMK stabilizers, which are like some of the better stabilizers you can get, that's a selling point, man. Like, to have that included in the price is pretty sick.
Ooh, is that a 9009?
Dixie Mech is awesome.
Yes, he is.
Nitsu. All right, so yeah, this kit has been pretty hyped for a while, and you should definitely pick one up. But let's talk a little bit more about it, Yanbo. How did the whole drop? How's that been going for you guys over at Massdrop? And any comments on that?
I mean, it's really fun. Honestly, for the longest time, I've been trying to do a happy hacking keyboard. I think it all started when I was first hired at Massdrop, and Kunal, I don't know if you guys remember him, but he dropped this keyboard at my desk, and he's like, "This thing is super cool," and I was like, "What are you talking about? It looks like it's from the '80s." And he's like, "Oh no, you don't understand. We bought this keyboard. It's very hard to get it into the office. They don't even sell it here." And I was just like, "But why though?" But over time, with the interview with the creator, Dr. Oh my God, I'm gonna butcher his name, with Itiwara, who created it to be a functional tool. Essentially, how he described it was, it's like kind of like the saddle for your horse, for the cowboys, which I just think a super apt way to describe it. It's just that tool that you're gonna need to do so many things. I don't think people realize how much they use their keyboard to just kind of interact with the world every day now. So yeah, I'm just glad we're able to bring it to a really, really good price. And the next key thing would be just me bugging it out to Alvin so that we can get the colors all finalized.
Squared away, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you mentioned price. That's something I definitely want to touch on, because I've been following the Tokyo 60 for a long time now. Alvin and I are fairly good friends, and he originally was like, "Hey, check this out. Here's what's going on." And I was like, "Yes, that's really awesome, but it can't be too expensive." And he's like, "Well, like this and this and this, like just the housing might cost like $250." And I was like, "No, that's bad. That's really bad." And so when he decided to go with Massdrop, I was like, that's going to be good, because they're going to be able to hit those MOQs, and you're going to be able to hit a price point that's low enough. And I was actually a little stunned to see the entire kit, like everything, for $200. I was like, oh my God. I was expecting like a whole kit to be like $300. So to hit that price point was really cool, and that's something that we often take for granted that Massdrop can accomplish.
Yeah, I think, just having a centralized fulfillment place that really helps with getting things out on time, being able to take in massive freight shipments, that lowers a lot of cost. You might not be able to see it, from like an individual units basis, but when you're moving thousands of units around the world constantly, those discounts do kick in, and everybody kind of benefits from it. Yeah, go ahead.
So Yanbo, I definitely have to ask, since we're on such a price, what magic did you work to get the starting price just so low where it is? It has to be more than just distribution.
There was something else going on here.
Guys, I'm just saying, Yanbo lifts he pumps iron for a reason. Okay, you know,
Just all of the physical labor
you know,
himself.
no, dude, he's on these calls with the factories and going, so like, what's the price? You know, I'm just gonna.
There's definitely a little bit of that.
You
We
know.
got to beat them up a little bit, but truthfully, a lot of it is just the community kind of participating in all these keyboards that we have been doing in the past, and from that, we're able to make relationships with, say, an aluminum supplier, so that we could get aluminum straight from someone that's making a lot of aluminum. And when we plan on doing a lot of keyboards, sometimes we can say things like, "Hey, let's just kind of like buy up some stock of aluminum for future projects," and that kind of helps consistently push the price down a little bit more. It's all just being able to work for a company that kind of has the ability to kind of put money forward first and make sure that it succeeds later down the line is pretty awesome. And we're able to bring way better prices to the community because of that.
Yeah, for sure. So a lot of back end logistic stuff that we don't.
Yeah.
Like that aluminum thing.
Right, because you know, you look at stuff like KBD fans, right, and you know, how are they able to get stuff so low? You know, I think a lot of it is, you know, they're able to be based right out of China. They get so much of the cost savings, you know, and you know, there's not really anything like that available out, you know, if you're not based in China, really, or if you're not at that sort of size, you know.
Yeah, the China thing is actually pretty interesting too, because you know the Chinese government definitely benefits from exporting a lot of stuff. So for a lot of the vendors in China, what you see, like, they're actually being subsidized a lot. Because let's be honest, sometimes when I buy like some knockoff shoes from DHgate or something, and it's like $30 and it's shipped to my door, and I'm like, so who made money here, right? Like I know how much it costs to get things around the world. This is pretty amazing. So there's a little bit of that.
A little bit of magic. All right. So
Yeah.
options are, I'm not necessarily going to say limited, but they're a little limited on this drop. But I know that's also by design, because you guys wanted to keep it logistically a little bit more simple. So I also kind of know how the future of this project is supposed to be planned out a little bit. So can you tell us a little bit about what we can expect from the future with maybe an additional Tokyo 60 run and what might change and so forth?
Sure. You know, I think, you know, for what like, you know, the goal is to, you know, once the first round is done, you know, let's run the second one with some different colors or do things just slightly a little different, you know, so that everyone who sort of jumps in for this round, what they have is special. So, you know, how do we have it so that, you know, even though the price point is low, the stuff is still, you know, kind of has a little more meaning, you know, it's a little more special, a little more interesting than just a generic keyboard. So, you know, even if we do run in the black, I don't want to run the exact same black. So, you know, how do we just keep, you know, being able to iterate? Because that's one of the huge advantages of being able to work in this way, where we sort of pre-buy and work in these batch sizes. You know, we're not running 10,000 units, so we don't have to lock ourselves into one color and keep doing it. So, you know, a lot of this is, you know, taking a look at the manufacturing process and figuring out, great, what's the most optimized product that we can put out that creates the most value, you know? And I think a lot of it is sort of like, well, hey, this allows us to do this, so why don't we? So, you know, I'm not gonna say what's next, but, you know, something else. So
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say one thing I think Alvin can talk about is we are trying to add like underlighting support for round 2, and you know, we'll obviously have that available for people that brought in on round 1 as well. Yeah,
good stuff. So I remember I was like, oh, this PCB shouldn't support underglow because in round 1 there's no reason to have it. He's like, yeah, it does. I was like, why? there's no translucent bottoms or like anything. But I remember at one point, you were actually a while back, Alvin, you compared it kind of to shoes, because a lot of people that are really into shoes, they'll own the same pair of shoes but in like different colorways for, you know, outfit matching or whatever,
right,
or just, you know, collectability, whatever. But, you know, that's you compared it to that, and it really kind of is, because, you know, one person could own more than one Tokyo 60, because not only because of the price, but also because potential future options. Because right now you can only get that you know, that aluminum bottom or whatever, but in the future you might have something like nylon or polycarbonate or
sure,
you know, acrylic or bamboo even, I think you were telling me at one point. So
sure,
pretty cool there, and I definitely want to see what kind of options we can do in the future,
yeah,
especially to help support that underglow.
You know, I'm really hoping this is something that you know, that will just grow as we do more, and you know, there'll be more stuff to offer and more stuff to have fun with. You know, there's, you know, I think a lot of folks are like, well, hey man, what's really different between you know, this and say, you know, the M60 or even like the TNC and stuff. And you know, I think, you know, yes, it's you know, HHKB style layout, but the whole sort of the point of view and the premise is kind of different. You know, whereas the Rama stuff is you know, Rama, I think he's really good at going, hey man, what's endgame? You know, how can we make the mother of all HHKBs, right? You know, it's gonna have everything. You know, it's gonna be PVD, brass, titanium, moon rock, whatever. You know,
Actual moon rocks.
You know, like he could probably find it, or like, you know, woolly mammoth tusk or something. You know, PVD coated. But you know, for this, you know, this is much more about like, you know, how do you do something that can be a little bit more timely, a little bit more fun, a little more lighthearted. You can definitely have more than one. You know, you wouldn't feel so bad if you wanted to just, I don't know, paint it, Cerakote it, you know, take a pen to it, whatever. You know, I just wanted to feel more, you know, not this thing you put on a pedestal, but something you can hack and have fun with, you know. Yeah. So I guess just, you know, slightly different sort of end goal sort of games, nice end goal sort of visions of what this whole thing is meant to be, you know.
Yeah.
And sort of looking at you know, there's so many sort of custom boards coming out right now, right? And like, what is everyone doing? And you know, now that I'm putting this out, you know, what's my voice in all this, right? You know, do I just want to, you know, I guess, you know, what I want to say. So.
Yeah, no, for sure. And what's funny is I've probably had this argument like 3 or 4 or 5 times in the last couple of weeks. People are like, "Oh, how much does the Tokyo 60 weigh?" And I'm like, "Let me bust out my scale." So I do that, and it weighs like I don't remember what the exact weight was, but it was like under 2 pounds. It's like 1.6 pounds, or like 1.8 pounds, or something
I
like
love
that.
that you brought out the scale for an estimated weight. Yeah, I'm gonna bring out this piece of precision.
I feel a little stupid about it. Don't make me feel worse than I already do, Alvin. But no, like I bust out the scale, I weigh it, and I'm like, okay, it weighs this fully built, and then people are like, well, that's not very heavy, and I'm like, so.
Yeah, it's not.
So, like, yeah, I think a very, very, very common misconception in this community is that weight equals premium. And while there is some truth to that in a way, that isn't necessarily the case. You can have a super high quality keyboard that only weighs 1.5 pounds. Super high quality, because quality and weight don't necessarily have to go hand in hand. And a lot of people aren't realizing that. And it's really driving me nuts. I get asked to weigh the Tokyo 60 like at least a few times a week. And I'm like, you don't understand, guys. Like, it's still an awesome product. Yeah. And it doesn't need to weigh a lot. Like it was meant to be more of a travel board anyways, right? Mm-hmm. So I know, Alvin, you travel a lot, and that was kind of you know, part of the intent is to make it inexpensive, accessible, customizable, and you know, not terribly heavy. Like, it's not a board that's meant to sit on your desk forever. I mean, it definitely can. Like, it'll sit on my desk forever. But
you know, because I work a lot out of like coffee shops and sort of like co-working spaces, right? So for me, it's like, you know, my setup is essentially portable.
Yeah, you don't want to have to carry around a 4, 5, 6 pound board in your bag.
It's the highest quality, basically. The word, I don't know if this is a good word, but the word I would use is the highest quality street keyboard there is. Where you can take it around, you know, you don't mind changing the finish if it gets scuffed up. You can throw it in your bag, and it'll always be a great keyboard to use anywhere you go because it's light but really nice. So
you know, that's actually captures it pretty well, because you know, it's like, you know, making this. You know, thought a lot about, you know, like sneakers and skateboards and sort of bikes, and you know, it's like, hey, how do you have something that you can scuff up, and if you scuff it up, it's actually kind of cool. You know, it's just how do you be on the opposite spectrum of
it's a street keyboard, which is awesome.
You scuff it up, it adds character, man. It's yours.
Sticker bomb it. So yeah.
And I mean,
something I'm dying to try is to grab one of those like Bluetooth 60 PCBs that KBD Fans has, and just like cram one in and see if that works.
You'll need some kind of acrylic layer or acrylic bottom, otherwise you'll have issues with the Bluetooth signal escaping, and your range will be like 1 foot.
Right. Yeah, I mean, good thing there's a diffuser bottom, maybe soon future. So
yeah, soon TM. Soon TM. Yeah, and people ask me to compare it, not only just the weight, but people ask me to compare it to, like, you know, the M60. Like, how do I feel about it versus the M60? Or insert much more expensive HHKB board here. And it's like, well, they're completely different price ranges. Like, you're asking me to compare like a $200 board with a $400 board or a $500 board. It's like, you just can't do that, man. Like, this board has a spot, and it's amazing for what it is.
Yes.
But it's not an 8-pound, you know, super thick steel HHKB that never leaves your desk. Like, it's not the point, man. It's not the point.
So like, how do we start like a poll or something to get Ramen to actually make something out of like unicorn, like
oh man,
you know,
get Kate to like it.
That's a good start. That's a good. I really think Kate is kind of like the driving force behind a lot of that.
Suddenly she'll see like lots of like you know, like unicorn images, you know, popping up around, but we'll see what happens.
Yep. So I'm seeing some questions in the chat, which is great, but as usual, at the end of the show, we will do a Q&A. We'll be coming up on that pretty soon, where you can ask Alvin or Yanbo or Huey or myself any questions you want, and we will get to those in a very reasonable fashion.
So looks like sorry, go on.
So I have a question for Yanbo, actually. So when Alvin approached you for all this, awesome, you guys started working together. I'm sure even at Mastrop, you and maybe some other Mastrop friends and employees had ideas of your own. Is there kind of any way for you guys to express ideas to Alvin, or is this all just his ideas and you guys are just helping out with the distribution?
So that's a pretty funny thing. I think if you talk to a lot of the people that I've worked with in the past, I think one of my favorite phrases when they're asking me, what do you think? I'm like, well, what's your vision, right? Because I feel like the big overall direction should really be set by the designer. They're like, hey, this is kind of what. So when Alvin came to me, he's like, hey, like I kind of had this shoe idea, kind of releasing like shoes and giving it support constantly and constantly improving it, kind of like the idea of Kaizen. So with that regard, I don't try to push too much. But when Alvin and I are talking on Slack and whatnot, there's times when I'll get a little bit of a brain blast. We're like, hey, what if we did, let's say, offer these switches with a drop? Would that be cool? And he'll be like, yeah, that would be super cool. Obviously, we want to offer all the switches we can offer. Yeah, so kind of like that. I generally try not to dictate the overall direction for these things. So that's how,
you know, I just probably that's the most surprising thing is I guess but like how open, I guess you I'm gonna say your team, but your team's basically you. So you know, I mean, you've been with the whole process. That's been super refreshing because I kept like, okay, well, trying to figure out, man, what are your KPIs? What do you need to do? Like how do I figure this thing out? And like, oh, dude, okay. Well, I guess I'll throw my deck out the window. Let's just make cool shit. So,
I like that.
Which is super cool. And I think what people don't realize is like the whole sort of Mastrop May keyboard team. It's really just Yanbo. There's actually not. There's John who's super cool, but he's like the production designer.
Yeah, so John's actually a real engineer, as I like to say. So for a while in Mastrop's history, I was running everything in Novelkeys, including, like sometimes there'd be production errors on things we're making. And the factory would ask me, hey, like, how do we fix this? I'm like, I don't know. Have you tried this? And they're like, maybe. Let's see if that works. So I'm actually super happy we hired John, because now anytime I'm like, hey, John, and whatever science question, whether it's mechanical engineering, which he always has a great answer for, or it's just like general physics stuff. And he's like, dude, I don't know everything. Why do you ask me everything?
Like, dude, if I had to throw the Tokyo 60, at this angle, where would it land right now? Depending on how much it weighs. But
yeah, John would actually try to give me a real answer every time too. And I appreciate
he's like, hold on, let me show my work here.
Right.
Hold on, guys.
But it's cool because he's a legit engineer, and it's really great to have someone like that to bounce things off, and just to check your shit also, right?
Oh yeah.
So like really, part of the Mastrop has been fantastic because it's not only be able to take the design to the next level and get the right price, but there's all the support around like how do we actually make this as good as it can be, with people who are actually professionals, and you know, a lot of stuff with the, you know, the limited options with the colors, et cetera. You know, you guys were talking about the SKUs earlier, right? With is it the Z Frontier? No, it was the
E6 exclusive.
E6, right? Because you know that stuff happens, right? And you know, I was talking to Yanbo earlier about you know, one of the drops you guys did earlier, right, where you generate like 1,000 SKUs for like a product.
Yeah. I think like a lot of times SKUs kind of get out from under you really quick, and people don't realize they multiply like crazy. So my favorite example is the Varmillo VA and VB keyboards. Those were one of the first things I started running a lot when I was hired at Mastrop. And back then, if you guys remember, there was optionality on like LED colors and like keycaps in different colors, but also blanks, maybe front printed, maybe like dye sublimated. And then, okay, let's do 3 different case colors. But obviously, we also got to offer a lot of switches. And by the time you times it out, it's insane. I just remember once I was riding the train going home. It was like 7 p.m. And Nelson, the co-founder, like calls me and he's like, "Hey, is this your drop?" And I'm like, "Yeah. What's up with it?" He's like, "You know, it's like 1,000 SKUs." And then he just hung up.
That's what you want to hear from your boss.
You know, that was a fun ride home, and then I tried to get that solved out. It was good times. And you know, a lot of times we really want to offer all the options that are out there. I think that's the one thing that makes the mechanical keyboard space so cool, is everyone can kind of make it their own. But that's when we start going too crazy with it. That's when supplier starts making mistakes. I don't think it doesn't matter who you are. You could be Foxconn. If you're making 1,000 different things, something's going to get packed incorrectly.
Yeah. I mean, it happens with everyone.
Yeah, so you know, hopefully with this, you know, it's just, you know, I've been talking to Yanbo a lot about this stuff, like, you know, hey, with the past stuff, you know, what went wrong, and how do we not sort of get into those situations, all this sort of stuff, right? And it's like, cool. So you know, you know, I hope, you know, it feels like enough stuff's happened where you know, you guys know what's up, right? So.
Yeah, we've definitely gotten better. For example, the ship dates, I think, in the past few months has been a lot more accurate. If you know, we're generally way more on time, which is awesome. That was because now we have a real project manager kind of checking my work. She's like, "Hey, you're saying this date. Why did you pick this date? You know, what are you compensating for?" Previously, there was not that gut check, so I was just kind of putting things done, letting it happen, and then getting everyone super mad. But you know, it's never intended. You know, people will tell me, "Hey, we're gonna have it done like on this date." I'm like, "All right, cool. We'll add like 3 weeks to that, and it'll be good." And then they're like,
right.
"Oh, everything is raw now." I'm like, "Oh, people are really, really pissed."
Yeah.
Group buys are crazy, man.
But you know, at the same time, you know, really that custom Met Keys department is Yanbo, you know, and he's setting all the dates and doing all the planning, right? So it's like, okay, you know, it's super cool, and also, you know, it helps, I guess, when you put context into, okay, well, how does this actually work? I'm not actually really dealing with a huge corporation or anything. It's not like there's a team here to handle this, you know. It's like, dude, Yanbo, how do we get this out the door, man? So.
I'm like, I don't know, slack me and we'll figure it out.
Right, you know?
Pump some more iron.
So.
With that.
What do you guys think?
Right.
Anyways, I'm gonna roundabout back to the Tokyo 60 a little bit, because I actually have a question for you guys that I think a lot of people might be interested in. So, like most other people, I noticed that the Tokyo 60 does have options for Halo True and Halo Clear switches. I know that those have been a little bit harder to find on the aftermarket right now, because a lot of people, well, Huey and I are a little bit responsible for it, because we've been touting these Holy Panda switches, which is a combination of an Inver Panda switch and a Halo switch, and it makes for a really, really, really amazing switch, like super fantastic. But because of that, they've been a little bit harder to get our hands on. So obviously, you're using them here in the Tokyo 60 drop. Is there still a chance that they will be sold as standalone switches?
Yeah, I think absolutely. I think they're really fun switches. I actually use the Halo Trues myself right now on my personal keyboard. We just got to get kind of the supply chain properly cleaned up, and then we can start offering it on more stuff and more as a standalone. I think one of the pain points for us especially is, you know, sorting through switches properly and stuff, because a lot of times when you're working, you know, with warehouses and stuff, people are not necessarily true enthusiasts. So I constantly get questions from my warehouse team, like they're like, "Hey, is this like an MX Clear, or is it like a white? What is it?" And I'm like, yo, it's obvious. Clears have like are slightly translucent, and white are white, and there's generally no whites in the warehouse. What are you talking about? But yeah, so you do get a lot of that. So we're really trying to make that a bit better as well.
Yeah, and then Pandas just sold out on that announcement, Yanbo.
Pandas, huh?
Panda switches are just, everyone's must be just, wait, Halo's come back? Hang on.
Round 2 is a thing that's confirmed.
Well, okay, yeah, that's kind of a topic for a different time, but
day,
yeah, pandas are supposedly having another run. Not necessarily. It might be the same as the first run, which is the rumor, but that's half of the combination to make these amazing switches.
Man, I got to check these things out. Actually, I
had them at the NorCal meetup. Maybe I should just send you the board to try because it'll probably blow your mind.
Yeah, that was on your X60, right?
Yeah,
that was
both
that
of
was
our X60s have them.
I had several people walk up to me at both the NorCal meetup and the more recent Seattle meetup, being like, "How much do you want for this board? I just want to buy it right now." And I'm like,
it's crazy.
No.
Right. We're talking about like Halos and Hakos and like Zeals and stuff, and the Holy Pandas are like this next level like Adam. You touch it, and you're like, whoa.
Yeah, it was actually funny because at the Seattle meetup, I had all my keyboards laid out as normal. And people would like walk up and they type on a couple of them, like, okay. And they get to the Holy Pandas and they're like,
what is this?
And I'm like, right? I'm like, what is, how do I do this? Oh man, I spent like at least an hour like telling people how to make the switches at the Seattle meetup. It was silly.
So how do we make the switches again? Just, for my notes' sake.
You take a Panda, and you take the head off it, and you put a Holy switch into it.
A Halo. So it's a Panda switch. It's an invert Panda switch, but instead of the Panda slider, you replace that with the slider from a Halo switch. And since both the sliders are the same between the clear or the true, you can use either stem.
That's
so
gotta check it out.
And it makes for like a very large and immediate tactility, and it's like it's much more of a curved kind of like Topra or like an SKCM Brown Alps.
Right, because of all the folks who claim to be like more Topra-esque, this is definitely like the closest, but very much his own thing as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. As far as an MX switch is concerned, it's by a landslide the closest you can get to Topra, like by a landslide.
Yeah,
but
it's a really good switch.
It's definitely a tactile guy, so I think gonna have to hand make some switches. Yeah, that's actually one of my favorite things about the mechanical keyboard space too. People just kind of doing their own crazy thing. One of my coworkers and one of my favorite people on the team at Massdrop, Henry, he's like a keyboard enthusiast, and I think 2 weeks ago he was sitting around like desoldering these vintage Alps, vintage blacks from the board. I think one of the group buys in the community. He bought those. He was desoldering them, and they looked very different from current like MX switches.
I mean, dude, like you're the whole Massdrop office is kind of like a I don't know, man. You guys have like the coolest gear just lying around. It's like, yeah, here's the keyboard stuff that's just stacked up and laid out, and here's all the audio file stuff. Yeah, and it's like, all right.
It does get a little messy in there. It's definitely like a toy store, and I think that's probably my favorite part of the job is just learning all kinds of stuff, and people being just so passionate about all the things that they do, whether it's kitchen knives or shoes.
Right.
Yeah, I keep getting these emails like, because I'm like subscribed to the Massdrop stuff or whatever. It's like I get emails for keyboard stuff, but also get emails for like drops for like knives and stuff, and I'm like, I don't need that. And I'm like, wait a minute, I should buy one of these.
There's some pretty cool ones. Although shout out to my favorite type of knife is the Victorinox Soldier. It's my favorite.
Well, I'm gonna shout out to my favorite can opener, the Pearl Life, made in Japan, 100 yen.
Ooh.
Best value.
Wow, that's pretty good value, man.
That JDM market, dude.
I know, dude. No, because the guys at Sierra Nevada gave me this awesome Sierra Nevada opener, and it snapped. It's like some cheap pewter or something. Anyway, dude. So Yanbo, do you have anything to say about the dev TTY? I saw a comment.
Yeah. I actually have this with me in case people are curious about the Triumph colorway and how it would look. It's actually kind of all over the place depending on like how much light you have shining on it and stuff. Here's a crappy flashlight to not illustrate my point at all. But
I like the effort though.
The J.J. Abrams lens flare.
Yeah, but I'm gonna talk to our creative team, and they can get that shot and add it to the page so people can see that. Yeah, there's like, it's actually pretty crazy involved, the process of doing something like DevTTY. One of the biggest difficulties that we ran into is really, if you look at the keycaps, you can see the curvature is actually pretty pronounced. And with dye sublimation, the ink kind of flows down and lays there. And when you have a little bit of curvature, the likelihood of it moving is just so much higher. It took us a couple months to really figure out the proper way to dye sublimate it. When I first dropped the project and got it started, we did the test time estimate based on how long it took to kind of do XDA canvas. And it turns out XDA keycaps are just 100 times easier to dye sublimate on because they're flat. and it was crazy. Yeah. They were like, yeah, this is not going to work. And we're like, oh, we sold it, so you got to make it work.
That's spherical. But Huey, I love your subtle Hasu BT mod show off there.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. It's going to be, yeah. I'm actually working on an MT3 review, and I will be bringing that up in comparison with some comments about MT3, which everyone will be able to explore when that review comes out.
So you know, Mateo's actually a super cool guy because you pinged me a little bit on Slack, and you were just talking about dye subbing, and how there's this whole art to of like you can spec it out, but unless you sort of do it and test it, because each machine sort of runs differently and all the ink diffuses differently depending on all the setup. There's not like one setting, right? Mm-hmm. So you got to tune your artwork to make it as crisp as possible.
Yeah.
So that stuff is super cool because it's like, oh, dude, this is like this is totally is like what he's doing is definitely way like kind of arty, I guess.
Yeah, Mateo's deep into like the details. That's probably my favorite thing about him and how detailed he is. I love MT3. I use it at in the office. Like one of my favorite things about it, I don't know if not a lot of people notice, is obviously it's angled when you have it flat, but when you have it sitting on like Mateo's optimal 5 to 8 degrees, when it starts slanting, that's when the row 3 actually becomes kind of this flat profile, which is pretty neat.
And we may or may not be getting a Tokyo 60 Dev TTY kit.
Yeah, I begged Mateo a little bit for it, so he's a pretty busy guy. But
nice. Ooh. That'd be pretty cool.
So that may be fun. So,
actually, before we derail a little bit too much here, let's get back on a little bit more of a Q&A mindset here. It's about coming up on 7:30, which is a pretty good time to already have started it. So if you guys have questions for any of the 4 of us or all of us, let us know. Make sure you use the tag TopClack @TopClack, so that way it highlights it for us in the stream. We can get to the questions a lot easier that way. So I'm sure you guys have lots of questions for both Alvin and or Yanbo, as well as Huey or myself. So make sure to use that tag and ask away. Keyboards or not, man, we're all here. All right. So, oh yes, I forgot. Yes. We don't even need it. We asked it last time they were on though.
Yeah.
No. Not for me, Yanbo. But how about you guys? Have your guys' opinion changed at all?
Since? Pancakes versus waffles.
Yeah, pancake life, dude.
I mean, you haven't switched over to like a block of cheese.
Did anyone even comment on that at the beginning of the video?
Maybe one person did.
Huey just started the stream eating a block of cheese.
I mean, sometimes you gotta cheese it up,
Is it cheddar?
Yes, it is. 10-year-old age, Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Wisconsin cheddar, bro. Come on.
Yeah, we started the show with the audio check, and we just setting up the audio, and he was
going to town
on this block of cheese, and no one say anything. I'm like, dude, is this just a block of cheese, man?
Huey's a very interesting man. We'll just say that. He's a man of interests.
I've been there. Back in college, I used to eat like the Campbell's soup, like cold with the can open. My roommates hated me. Like,
oh wow, that's pretty bad.
That microwave was like down the hall in the kitchen. And
that's a trip.
It's really far. Right?
That's a trip.
So.
All right, so we already have quite a few questions rolling in. I'll start us off. Jeff Boogland is asking, did you guys join Kira 60 or did you guys join Kira? I don't know if he means Kira 96 or not.
I don't know which Kira. There's like 3 or 4 Kiras.
There's 3 or 4 Kiras, so you got to be a little bit more specific. But he also follows up with a question for Alvin and Yanbo. Do you guys participate in group buys for keyboards on Geek Hack?
Oh, for sure. Like I've actually stayed away from Geek Hack for the Tokyo 60 just to see for myself as an experiment, like what happens if you do something outside of that community. But you know, I have a fail. I have a M65 round 1. And yeah, I've spent way too much money on too many boards. So yes.
Ooh, I don't think I've actually done any pure group buys on Geek Hack. I've bought some artisans and stuff when it's like kind of easy to get, like when Rama releases some inventory stuff. I've done that, and also I think I've just been very blessed at working at the toy store. So because I get a lot of
so this is B stock, right?
Yeah, and I to open the box, I feel like I get most of the feel for like buying stuff for myself because I'm opening a lot of boxes on a weekly basis. So luckily don't have to participate in a lot of group buys because of that.
All right, Zerpocalypse is asking thoughts on a stealth black on gray TTY set.
Oh,
great.
Like a ninja, super cool.
Yeah. So kind of like the Max Keys Ninja SA, but with MT3 profile, effectively.
Yeah, so with MT3 profile, at least from my end, I'm kind of letting Mateo dictate the direction for it, the first couple ones, since this is kind of his baby. But he's always told me that after this, he's going to open it up for the community, and then people can just come to me with ideas, and hopefully we can make them happen. Including like the super stealthy stuff.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Just message Mateo, man. Just message Mateo and let him know. Jacob Theo Rabin asks, can you use B-Sun brown housings as a substitute for pandas when making holy pandas? No. You can, but they won't turn out as good. The tolerance, for whatever reason, even though it's the same factory, the tolerances on the round 1 panda housings are different than the B-Sun brown housings.
I love that you had a specific answer to that, Brian. It's just, no, here's exactly why, because I've tried it and it doesn't work.
I have tried it, it doesn't work. That's why I know. The tolerances on the panda housings are just so much tighter, and that's one of the things that makes panda housings really unique, and that Switch in general really unique. It's insanely stable. It's probably the least wobbly MX Switch ever. And there are some drawbacks to that, obviously. There's extra friction and whatnot, but it's still a really cool Switch, and it really does make other sliders / stems feel more like themselves, which is why when you put a Halo stem in there, it feels insane.
It's like double holy, dude. It's like
it feels so good.
So holy.
I have discovered the closest way to replicate a Holy Panda with B-Sun housings, or with most housings. The issue is consistency. So one of the reasons a Holy Panda feels so good is because the tolerance is so tight on the bottom housing, the leaf is actually pressed out, and because the leaf is pressed out, there's more feedback from the leaf to stem. If you actually extended the leaves of all of your switches, you'd have a more similar effect. But no one can consistently do that because you're going to be bending a very small piece of metal, a very small amount, and millimeters and even smaller matters so much at that scale.
It's really easy to mess up that mod.
I may or may not be able or know a shop that makes precision tiny electronic parts in Japan that I may be visiting. So
maybe keep something like that in mind.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Lump of Fun Worth is asking, Naisu Tokyo 60 with brass weight win. So any brass options for the Tokyo 60 at any point?
Definitely go look into that, because there are a lot of folks who like heavy stuff, and I think that the base is the part where I really want to have fun with, where that's just gonna be so much cheaper and so much easier to make for, So, Olivia was mentioning, she wants to make some out of Korean, like the kitchen counter stuff. Like that'd be super cool.
That would be really cool.
I hope the heavy brass version will be the hype beast released.
Well, I don't know, man. Aren't we all doing like cement or whatever now? Isn't this the new?
I think that brass really kind of, just that added weight kind of takes away of the soul of the Tokyo 60, And usually I'm a big fan of brass and just heavy keyboards in general. I really am. Most of my keyboards are quite heavy because I don't travel. But I think the Tokyo 60 kind of needs to retain that soul and not really be like a heavy thing. But with that said, options are king, and obviously being able to get something like that out to more people is pretty cool and give people the option to customize.
You know, what I'd really love to do is just because I don't know that much about knives, but I keep seeing them on Mash Drop, and what have they used for the handles? That like GR4 like resin infused fiberglass.
The G10.
Stuff? The G10.
Yep.
Like if you did the bottom G10, I think that'd be super cool.
Yeah.
I'd love to, because I would love to be able to mix whatever's happening in like the ultralight stuff into like the Tokyo 60. So everyone wants to take a drill and just like ultralight the keyboard and just drill a ton of holes into it. Love to see that.
We can also make a bottom out of like superconductors. I don't know if you've ever seen those in the knife community, but that stuff gets pretty insane.
I mean, if you have access to that,
All right.
I wish I had.
Zombuman is asking udon or soba.
Ooh.
Udon.
Oh, I'm an udon guy. Yeah.
I'm an udon guy as well.
I'm pretty into udon myself, but I think ramen is king.
See,
udon for all four of us. Wow, pretty uncontested there.
The thing is, like ramen out here it's like it's like that really oily, greasy burrito bomb you have when you're drunk, right? You don't really eat it unless you're like it's past 10 and you're stumbling out hammered, and you're like, man, I could really use a ramen right now.
That's interesting because normally when you think of something like ramen, it's a bit more of like a lighter thing. Like you in theory have like a clean broth, like it's not terribly heavy, but like I don't know, comparing it to a burrito is kind of interesting.
I don't know, dude. Maybe I'm eating all the wrong places because all the places I go there.
Maybe burritos
like,
just that much.
You
lighter.
probably had way more ramen than I have, Alvin. I'm not gonna try to say I'm an expert.
There's like the hey, we're gonna make some really like fancy ramen, right? And then there's like your ramen shop where like they're like splattering fat into your soup because it's not fatty enough.
Hey, fat equals flavor, man.
Like, yep, that's all it's all about.
This body was built on fat.
Brian is a delicious individual.
Oh yeah,
That's
like,
good for you, man.
Yeah, I'm like a properly seared foie gras. Anyways. Reku Pero is asking, any possible color decisions for Tokyo 60 MT3 kit?
So I think for this round, if Mateo does it, it would definitely be in the standard Dev TTY colors. I can actually touch a little bit on the color process and why it's so crazy.
Sure.
I think one example that's good to give is Maito. He's probably one of my favorite people in the keyboard community, super passionate guy. But he happens to live in Brazil, and it's really hard to get anything into Brazil. Like I have to put the equivalent of his like social security number on the packages I'm sending to him, and they're all checking all kinds of stuff, and then charging him ridiculous custom fees to receive any samples I send. And the transportation time for that, takes a couple days. But for Maito to get it, he also have to drive like 7 or 8 hours back to his hometown, go pick it up, and sometimes it's not even there. So when you start adding things like that, it just adds a lot of pressure to get the color right, and a lot of times the first 4 or 5 rounds it's not right. In fact, I can share, I think for laser GMK and Maito has gone over 22 plus keycap colors now to get it all confirmed, and it's still missing one more.
Jesus, man.
Yeah, it's pretty insane.
Yeah, that's got to be rough being a prominent designer in the community and living so isolated.
Yeah,
shipping wise from everywhere else.
He would tell me he's like, I'm driving out now and I'll talk to you in a few hours.
I'll let you know tomorrow when I get to the post office.
Yeah, that guy works so damn hard. It's pretty crazy.
Damn, that's crazy. Yeah, that's really
awesome. All right.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of those things where it benefits. Like, there's so much benefit of just being able to be near a factory, like especially when you're sort of in production, just being hop over, just take a little process. So they shorten all those times by so much more. And if you just talk to someone and point something out, that's worth way more than a ton of emails back and forth. And that's the sort of, I guess, one of the challenges of having this sort of like global supply chain stuff. Is just sometimes things just take long because communication just isn't quite there.
Yeah.
So.
CI Jason is asking, I know round 1 Tokyo 60 isn't over yet, but are there plans for round 2 with more options? I can't get into round 1, but I am definitely interested in the future. So we've talked a lot about this, but I mean we can.
So I do want to do a round 2. There will be different than what's available in round 1. I think as to what exactly and when, I think we need to figure out round 1 first and get that out the door. So.
Yep, I agree. One step at a time. Make sure everything's perfect, and then you can worry about what comes next.
Yeah, I got to drive out to Brazil and receive my package so I can check my stuff.
Yeah. You have to fly to Brazil, then drive 8 hours to meet Maito, and then drive another 8 hours to the post office.
Well, it's funny, right? Because Maito's such a prolific designer, right? But after that, like the whole image I have of him is he lives in the jungle and he has to take a machete to get
cut his way to the post office.
By the time he gets his package, he's fully bearded. And, yes, I got my laser.
Yep. And
he's like Robin Williams in Jumanji.
Exactly.
Exactly like that. Actually,
he's actually some different parallel universe island thing, and that's how he gets all these ideas.
Fantastic, man. That's so good. We already kind of brushed on this, but Dopa1234 is asking, question for Alvin and Yanbo. How probable is a brass plate bottom for the Tokyo 60? So we talked a little bit about that. Totally possible.
Yeah. If Alvin wants to do it, we can definitely try it out. We have the supply chain for it.
I would be very curious on a couple things. I'd be very curious to know how much more it would be than the standard aluminum. I'd be very curious to know how much it would actually increase the weight. Because if you're doing the brass option for Tokyo 60, obviously you want it to be heavier. Like you're buying a brass option, probably not because of the way it looks, probably just because you want the added weight. And with the Tokyo 60, obviously the entire bottom, it's like one big slate. So if that were all brass, that would actually add a fair amount of weight, probably.
Yeah, if my friend John was here, he would give us the exact weight based on the density of the metal or whatever. But brass is crazy heavy. I don't. If people that have not tried it, they don't realize that thing. It's like paperweight.
There is a reason that brass is generally kind of the weight of choice for custom keyboards. Actually, it was funny if anyone in chat caught the episode we had, was it last week with Brandon of Input Club, and he was talking about how stupid it was that we're using aluminum for keyboards and putting brass weight in them because we should just be making stainless steel keyboards or whatever, because it would be just as heavy or heavier.
Well, it's super funny, right? Because if you look at a lot of say like a pair of Beats headphones, right? Yeah. A lot of people give that shit because you open it up and they've just glued weights inside to make it feel more premium. And we're kind of doing that with our keyboards, but not quite in the same way. Yeah. Where the weight isn't really part of the functionality and it's a completely optional thing, right?
Yeah. For the most part, I would argue there is a case you can make for weight just based on how much you want your keyboard to move or not.
Right.
What's on your desk? Because obviously a light keyboard could theoretically move a lot easier.
For sure.
So
I feel like there are folks who integrate the design in a really nice way, with the cutouts and stuff. But then there are, I guess, not so much anymore, but there are a lot of folks who are doing the entombed brass for a bit, where it was in there, but you couldn't see it and just didn't have it really just was a weight inside the case.
Yeah.
But if we did do a brass, bottom for the Tokyo 60, it would have to be so completely obnoxious,
Yes.
Yeah.
Thick and fat or something. It would have to be like a what do you call it? Like a thing of gold, like a bullion? No, it's whatever.
No. Oh my god, this is gonna drive me nuts because I know it too.
It's like an
ingot.
An ingot.
Ingot.
It would have to be ingot.
I played enough Skyrim to know.
Thank you, chat. Chat's got it too.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I'm still okay. So I'm actually 15 minutes behind in questions, and there's still quite a few. So we're gonna try to pick up the pace a little bit here and try to rapid fire a little bit. All right. So Olivia's asking nigiri or sashimi.
Oh, okay. Sashimi is probably the way to go, but I'm a sucker for nigiri. I need that carb. But so the best compromise is when you go to a nice sushi shop and they give you the little tiny ball of rice, and it's just perfect. Because you get more fish And yeah.
Yanbo?
I think Huey's super lucky, living in SoCal. He has probably access to some of the best priced all-you-can-eat sushi ever. Some of the best ones. Here up in NorCal, it's terrible. I guess there's not a big market for all-you-can-eat sushi here. But I think nigiri because I like rice a lot.
Yeah.
Rice is awesome.
Those American sushi rolls, man. Those things are.
I know. I remember when you came to NorCal, and we were like getting sushi, and Alvin's like, I was like desperately scanning over the menu for like the most American roll he could find. He's like, I need like something different. Yeah, he's like, it's deep fried. It's got jalapenos. Like, I need this.
It has cream cheese. Who puts cream cheese?
I'm like, what the hell, Alvin? Like,
but he can't get that over there.
No one would be able
exactly.
to no one would ever want to make that for you here. They would have to commit like seppuku or something if they did.
Hardcore.
Anyways, I too am a nigiri guy. I need that rice. I appreciate the contrast more. I mean, I'll eat raw fish all day long. I don't really care in what form it is. But if I had to choose between sashimi and nigiri, I'm definitely a nigiri kind of guy. What about you, Huey?
I'm gonna break the mold here and go with sashimi. I like good fish. I like when you don't have the rice, but you have really good fish. Like it's just a beautiful purity of it. So unfortunately, I've actually moved out of SoCal. I'm in Fresno right now, which is the worst place in California to get sushi because I'm not by any ocean. But I do visit NorCal and SoCal like monthly, so that's usually when I get my sushi fix. But yeah, when I have like a really good, just a clean, nice, beautiful piece of fish, like I don't want rice. But if it's like B grade or below, then yeah, give me that rice. All
right, fair enough. Excuse me. All right, Gert Tractor is asking a super quick nub question as I am in the process of acquiring lubricant. How is the consistency of GPL 204 versus GPL 105? I can actually answer this. So GPL 204 is a little bit more of a grease. GPL 105 is an oil. So the 204 is definitely going to be a lot thicker, and the 105 is going to be a lot thinner. So based on your preferences, that's going to change quite a bit. Personally, I like the thinner lubes myself. I prefer oils or thinner blends. I think it makes the switch feel more like a better version of itself, whereas thicker lubes will change the way a switch feels entirely. You get a smooth result either way, but that's obviously just practice and preference there.
8 diagram, thank you for the sub.
Oh, nice. Hashiba is asking, what is the most OG color for Tokyo 60 Revision 1? Could you comment on the latest insights acquired while doing manufacturing optimization magic?
Oh, man. I guess the OG color, I mean, the rose gold has a special place in my heart for this one, and that's one I really don't think I'll be doing again. So, because it's so of its time right now, and it's one of those ones where I think you put it out, and
Oh man! Now that you say
it,
that,
right?
I have to get a rose gold now.
It's one of those things where it's like, dude, if you put it out next year, man, it's just not going to be quite the same or something, it's really. So, anyways, and, for the manufacturing, I didn't come from like a design, like a hardcore industrial design background at all, right? So sort of learning this stuff from scratch is super interesting. A lot of it is what do people actually charge money for, when you're making your thing, and a lot of it is machine time. So where you're making this thing, what's the standard size of aluminum, right? So for the bottom plates I had, I had a version that was 3 millimeters, a version that was 4 millimeters, and for the 3 millimeter bottom, they don't need to machine that down that much. But for a 4 millimeter version, they have to machine that down from a 5 millimeter sheet, right? And that takes a lot of time. For the top, it's like how do you route the paths properly so that you can use the largest bits and cut the most area. So you're not breaking these tiny bits, doing these small curves and stuff. There's a lot of when I go see the factory do my prototypes, you start looking at screw holes, and you realize, okay, for every screw hole that you have here, someone is hand threading this, right? So the fewer of these that I need, the less it's going to screw up and the less cost and time that takes. So a lot of this has been just understanding not only how the technology works, but how do people actually run the process, and then how do you design for that while keeping the sort of original intent of the product, versus sort of, I guess, doing the, oh man, like blue skies, man, we can do anything, and sort of ending up like the Juicero.
Yeah. Yep.
You guys know, the $600 juicer, where they did everything custom, man. It was like, it would end up being a $600, I don't know, hydraulic press that did nothing, right? You could just squeeze the pack with your hand.
Oh, yeah, okay, I know what you're talking about now, yeah.
Yeah. And because the big thing you talk to these factories is everyone, not everyone, but a lot of folks come into making hardware, I guess, thinking they're Steve Jobs, right, man? Man, Steve Jobs never let anything slip. Steve Jobs been perfect, it's like, well, man, that's great, but you're not Steve Jobs. You don't have $6 billion in your bank to fund and prototype this. Like you can't approach the game from the same way, So that's been a really cool experience. So.
Yeah, I think to touch on the Apple things, because our engineer John, is a huge fan of Apple and how they manufacture. But I don't think many people realize just the sheer craziness of what they're doing for something like a MacBook Air, right? How it has that cut out on the bottom and it fits into the thing, fits into the chassis itself. For that, they actually run all the parts, and they have high-speed cameras that capture it and measure it down to microns, the various tolerances on it, and then they will find match pairs in their huge database, and they're like, oh yeah, these two pairs are like a perfect match, and those would get grabbed and assembled together, right. And that's how you get all these seamless finishes. But high-speed cameras like that and setups like that are not cheap. So they do things like
crazy.
That. Yeah, or they have like these little blowers that blow out any screw that's off weight. The wind will blow it out, so that defective screws never make it into their supply chain. They're pretty insane.
Yeah, I mean that stuff is like, yes, you can get that if you can spend all this time like designing your supply chain and manufacturing, and because it's not so much about their product. Apple's a really good manufacturing innovation design company, right? And that's why they're able to execute on this stuff. And it's like we don't have our own factories. The Toke 60 isn't going to sell like 2 billion units to where I can justify spinning up a factory or a supply chain. And it's like, so given what you have, how do you make the best that you can for the right price? Because you can do anything if you can pay for it. Basically, right? Is how it works. So.
Generally speaking, Chinese factories are not in the business of saying no. They'll be like, yeah, we can make that.
Right.
You're like, I'm trying to build a phone, but it's actually a rocket that goes to Mars. They're like, yeah, we can do that for sure. We do that all the time.
So, fun tip for anyone who's looking to manufacture anything in China is to be extremely detailed with any spec that you give. Because if you sort of give like rough, it's going to be like this, they will make it exactly like it is. Like if you ever see websites that say like, that have like Epsom Lorem whatever still on the site, it's like, well, you sent me the mock-up with that on there, so I put it in. It's like they would make exactly what they give you. So it's a lot of it is about just being super anal about the whole process, and making sure that nothing is assumed and that everything is spelled out, and that for a lot of QC stuff and how you put stuff together, right? It's a lot of it's about writing a really good SOP. So it's a statement of process and procedure, right? And it's literally a booklet people have of, look, this is how you assemble it. This is how things go together. This is how you do the QC. And you have these little charts, right? Of, okay, you have little pictures of say for anodizing, right? You'll have, okay, this scratch is not acceptable. This type of nick is not acceptable. Because unless you give people a proper reference of what's good and what's acceptable and not, the QC person is not going to know. Well, hey, it's good enough for me, so it's good enough for them, right?
Yeah, that's very true.
So it's interesting because if you talk about the actual product design, that's maybe only 20% of the whole thing, right? Like the whole thing, the whole product itself is how it's made and all that is so much. That's the real design, I guess. So I guess thank you, Yanbo, for taking care of a lot of that.
Yeah. I don't do nearly as much factory, like direct factory stuff as before. Now John has taken over the bulk of that and communicating in the language that they understand, and we're bringing more production people on board that had like decades of experience doing manufacturing and things like that, just to kind of raise our what do we make to the next level. That's one of the key things. Yeah.
Cool.
Oh, and just a quick shout out. Sorry, if you guys are ever in Shenzhen, I'm out there maybe around once a quarter. Just pop in and see what's up. and see what's going on. And we try to do little tours out there with some folks out in Japan. So ping me if you guys are in town. I may or may not be there.
Ooh, hopefully
Nice.
you are. We have some baiju.
Oh,
Turn.
dude, no, man. We're gonna
yeah.
get you we're gonna get you ICs and servos and motors. Dude, we're gonna load you up with electronics, man.
Last
All
time
right,
I was
so-
in Shenzhen, I bought Baiju that was like $2, like equivalent of like $2 US, and it was like a handle.
Refined gasoline.
It was great.
Oh man. So I am actually we are so far behind in
Go for
chat that
Rapid fire,
no.
Machine gun.
We are so far behind that Twitch has decided that I can't view messages that old anymore.
Oh no.
So I am, yeah. So, some questions definitely got skipped here. If it was a very important one and you feel the need to ask it again, please do. But I'm going to catch up to about 13 minutes behind. Okay. And Brick Cubed is asking Alvin, what key sets are you guys looking forward to the most?
GMK Olivia, obviously.
That's the right answer.
Yeah, I'm super excited about that. And actually super excited about Zambamon's Serica. Like,
Cool.
You know, cool sets and yeah, just classic.
Nice. All right, so we are going to try to keep rapid firing these because there are still a few more. So CJ is asking, how long did it take you from first inspiration to now designing the Tokyo 60?
A little bit over a year, actually. So, yeah, a while.
Just a little bit. Bug Whisperer is asking, I know Tokyo 60 is really modular, but did you envision a specific switch type or keycaps in mind when designing it? It's a good question.
I mean, I don't know about switch types, but keycaps GMK all the way.
Yep. Represent.
Yes.
So it's hard to beat.
Got a shout out to Zambumon.
Oh yeah, that Nautilus.
It's
I heard someone call that the IKEA key set. And I was like, what? Oh, that's GMK IKEA. I get it.
Lump of Worth donates 100 bits and says, give this to Yanbo as a bribe for Brass Tokyo 60.
You can bribe me with Keycaps, by the way, from various places.
Oh
Pretty
yeah.
into that.
Okay. Fantastic.
So that's how that works. Yeah.
Zerpocalypse is asking, for the Tokyo 60, will add-ons, i.e. diffuser bottoms, be separate drops or part of the new rounds of Tokyo 60s? That's a good question also.
I think the idea is to set it up so that it's easily accessible. A lot of the way drops are set up for Met Keys, especially on like the Mash Drop Made stuff, it's me kind of inventing it based on what our backend can support. Because the website was conceived to buy a certain thing from a vendor and sell it to, as a group buy to the community. It's not to have like bajillion option drops, but definitely just make it really easily accessible and for you to not have to purchase anything that you don't really need. It's the goal for that. So whichever way that makes sense, we'll do it.
Nice. All right. That guy is okay to me is asking main inspiration for the Tokyo 60. Yeah, that username gets me every time, dude. Every time. I'm just like, what is that? Oh, okay. All right, so Alvin, main inspiration for the Tokyo 60. What was the design theory in your mind behind it?
Okay, I'll just make this quick. So obviously the HHKB, but two was just seeing how a lot of sneaker drops were working. And long story, I have a really good friend who's a pretty well-respected fashion designer, and we were talking about how she makes stuff. And she's like, hey, for fashion, it's not about innovation tech or whatever. It's about how much emotional impact can your stuff have. And I was like, oh, dude, that's a crazy point of view. I wonder if I can make something that just a keyboard isn't going to blow anyone away with its like quantum processing or whatever, right? It's not disruptive in any kind of way in that sense. But how do you just make products that give people feels? And if it gives me the feels, hopefully it will give other people some too. And so I guess for me, just trying out a very different kind of design process of how do you make stuff.
Cool. The Arctic Fox 27 is asking, what are the plans for the next Tokyo 60 keycap seasons? I don't really understand that question, but maybe if you got some other keycap ideas, it'd be cool to offer them with different keycap sets like each time, maybe. But it's also kind of interesting because one of the questions we had a couple questions ago about having like effectively rounds for different parts. So like that way, you can buy in round 1, you can buy a Tokyo 60, and then the next round, instead of buying another Tokyo 60, you buy a new bottom for it, or a new keycaps for it, or something like that. So I don't know. I know that logistically would probably be a nightmare, but it would be kind of interesting just to have like a more modular product instead of just buying multiple Tokyo 60s. But I see the point either way.
Yeah, I think hopefully the way that it'll get built out is that if you want to have multiple, you could. If you just want to have stuff you can swap in and out, kind of like key set, you could. In terms of the next key set, Yanbo has a super secret cherry profile PBT die sub vendor, that I'm super excited to find out more about and how to work with, because with die sub, you can do all the stuff that you can't do with double shot, right? You can get crazier with graphics and just have more fun. And if you're able to do smaller MOQ runs, I think you can maybe take a little more risks on the designs. So
gotcha. Cool. And aside from any of the questions that I missed because of Twitch limitations, I am fully caught up on questions now. So if you guys did have a final question before we head out for any of us, make sure you ask that now. Or if I completely skipped you, that was not my intention. It was because of Twitch. Blame them, not me. And feel free to ask it again, and we'll get to it presently.
Well, if there's a bit of a lull, I'm going to give a quick shout to one of your sponsors, dude. Novelkeys make the best bags.
Hell yeah.
Right? I said that a while
everything.
back. I was like, these bags are awesome.
So I'm using to keep my Devlin, what are these, teletype keycaps on right now. Like, these bags are the best, man.
The quality of the bag is actually pretty good. Like, they're nice, thick, protective bags, and they have Novelkeys branding on them. I'm pretty happy about that.
Just just running by for these on its own.
Yeah, I need like 100 of those because I need to organize a drawer system, and it's going to be a nightmare.
I think those bags would actually do pretty well if you start selling them. People ask for all kinds of crazy stuff. I don't know if you guys remember a couple of years back when we dropped the weird tray for holding keycaps, because everyone kept on asking about it. They're like, "Hey, can we buy that?" I'm like, it's kind of terrible, but I guess.
Different for folks, I guess.
Talking about throwback stuff, but were you ever involved with the OG mass drop aluminum HHKB case?
So that was a monstrosity that was sent to me. It was, I saw it. I was kind of in love in a way because they somehow machined all the holes out of it. That was insane, and the price was insane because of the CNC time. And it was definitely early on in my mass drop career, so I was still in a very why do people type on keyboards without arrows phase of my life. But yes, I think we put our only happy hacking keyboard, the one Kunal gave to me, into that, send it off to Living Speed Bump to have him make it better for us. And he still owes me a happy hacking keyboard.
I mean, was that ever produced? Are there any out in the wild, or was that the only?
I have one more in the office in black, and it's giant.
I don't know if anyone's ever seen this. It comes up. It's from the archives of I
should bring it to some meetups and stuff to show sometimes when you tell a factory to make a
relic
metal case, they kind of go too crazy with it.
So Zeal is asking, how do we feel about the Kiwi 99? I don't even know what that is.
I'm not gonna. Yeah, I don't know what that is either.
I'm not gonna pretend to know what that is either because I just straight up don't.
I assume it's from New Zealand. If not, then it's slightly fruit-shaped.
Kiwi 99. Well, there is a member of the community named Kiwi, and I knew he was working on a board. I don't know if that was the name of it, though. So, I don't know. I need more information about that. Ablotzi is asking a question for Yanbo. Any hints on the next key set on Mass Drop?
Oh, man. I think...
Obviously, you don't have to answer that.
Right. But it's happening. It's going to be very cool. It's with a new designer in the community. We really try to do more of that as well, along with obviously the super cool guys that make super cool things all the time. We try to bring some new people on board. This one's going to be a little different. I hope people enjoy it. It's going to be at XDA.
Speaking of which, when is your next closet opening? Dropping. I'm not sure the right way to phrase this.
Right. So generally that happens when someone bugs me about all the inventory that I've kind of accumulated in the warehouse. They're like, why are you holding on to this? I'm like, no, people want it later. Just trust me. It's fine. Soon. I think think, you know, we're going to be fulfilling Carbon SA soon, and hey, it's on time. Shout out to Signature Plastics.
Oh, that's crazy.
So yeah, once that fulfills, we'll wait for a little bit of time to make sure everyone gets replacements that they need and all that fun stuff, and then we could start selling the extras along with anything else we build up. Yeah, Carbon is sweet. I'm a big fan.
Definitely one of the most, if not the most popular key sets in the community.
Yeah,
I think overall it's probably sold more units
than anything else. Yeah, but we're bringing back a couple classics this year, so you'll see some of the more desirable ones that we haven't ran in a while.
Ooh. Cool. All right, Maker Guy is asking thoughts on GMK 9009 Ortho and Vimcaps, or did I miss the news section?
We didn't really cover those. We covered the Ortho we covered was a different set, I think. Yeah, it was a different set.
Well,
it wasn't 9009.
I'm all about the Vimcast, man. I love those.
Yeah, I don't use Vim, so I don't know. I don't really use Ortho either, so I don't.
Yeah. Although speaking of Ortho, I did get this. I just had in my hand this awesome plank from Yanbo and Jack with XJ canvas, which we were talking about earlier. Actually, one of the missed questions was what do we think about canvas, or what do I think about canvas? I will mention it in this review, which is actually coming out this weekend. I finally basically finished all the post stuff. Just gotta clean it up. Real quick, XDA. I love how it looks. I'm not the biggest fan of how it feels to type on.
Is it the flat profile or the?
Yeah, the F and J aren't deep dished enough, so you get lost in the keys too easily.
Yeah, that was kind of my experience when I had a set as well.
Otherwise, canvas absolutely beautiful. These RGB pastel RGB modifiers like steal the show.
I'm so sad I didn't jump on the Ares, like the Godspeed, like the Mars one with like the orange red.
Yeah,
that's a cool set.
Yep.
Yeah, that color took a while for Mito to confirm, but it looks really good, actually. That and then the green on DevTTY is probably my favorite color. And and Mateo's gonna come out with something very cool for DevTTY. That's not the Tokyo 60. That's something else he's working on. But there's one more thing he's also working on for it. To replace the Cyrillics kit that was missing. So, yeah. So everyone knows that Mateo kind of does like one special thing per round that he doesn't run ever again. So it'd be pretty cool.
Awesome.
All right. Well, we are fully caught up on questions, and now's probably a good time to start heading out. One thing I'd like to point out, though, and mention is we've averaged over 100 viewers this entire episode.
Hey,
that is nuts. I think we basically did that last episode too. So obviously, Top Clack definitely growing. We appreciate you guys coming out and watching and checking it out. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed yourselves. If you're a newcomer here, I know we have a lot of old supporters as well that have been here since the beginning. So thank you guys so much for all of that.
Take some bits.
Oh,
thank you.
But
you're so kind. We love.
Thank you for having us. What are bits? I feel like I'm missing out on all this.
So a bit is kind of like Twitch's form of currency. I guess you could probably equate it to like a tip.
Yeah, it's basically like tipping.
100 bits is about $1 US.
Yep.
Ooh.
And so, yeah, you can. I mean, the way they do it is kind of weird, but you have to like buy bits. It looks like 100 bits is $1. If you buy 100 bits, it's $1.40.
Ooh.
But as you buy more bits, the value goes down. So, it's just like any other different currency. But either way, it's money that goes into Top Clack. So everything always helps better this stuff. I mean, Huey and I we say this a lot, but like we like Huey and I have spent like basically, if not zero of the money that we've got on Top Clack on ourselves. It's all just gone to like better equipment and making Top Clack better in some way, somehow. Like it was because of Top Clack that I just recently was able to get a relatively nice camera.
Ooh.
So
Top Clack money.
Yeah, so like obviously that's gonna help out like production quality by like a lot, and it's gonna allow me to actually make videos and take fancy pictures, etc. Yeah. So, I mean, everything goes towards just bettering Top Clack whenever possible. So, thank you guys all so much for that.
Thank you so much.
Totally forgot to ask you, Brian, about how your Tokyo 60 was, but maybe another time.
Oh yeah, I was using it like the entire time since I built it on stream like weeks ago, but yesterday I switched it to my E6 with Hako clears because several people in the Top Clack Discord were saying that like Hako clears felt like linears, and I was like, no, that's wrong. And I was like, am I crazy? So like I put my board back in. I was like, this is clearly a tactile switch. I don't understand like what people are really seeing here. But yeah, but I'll probably switch back to the Tokyo 60 like tonight or something. Because I have been loving it. Been breaking in some MX silence. I'm going to do a little hybrid switch action and then put better switches into the Tokyo 60, and then it'll be a really good time.
Awesome.
Cool.
Fancy.
Thank you so much for having us. It's always super fun to talk to you guys.
Yes, absolutely. I'm sure it's not the last time. You guys are both awesome and very interesting individuals, so I'm sure we'll have you guys on again. So we definitely appreciate it. And of course, as usual, shout out to all of our sponsors, just like we did earlier. Zeal PC, Novelkeys.xyz, Z Frontier, and Input Club. All 4 of those guys have done so much for us, and we really appreciate it. And we appreciate all of you guys tuning in, viewing, subscribing, whether it's via your free Twitch sub with Amazon Prime, or you pay for it, or you donate bits. All of it helps out way more than you think, and we're immensely appreciative of it. So thank you guys so much for all coming out. Of course, once again, Alvin and Yanbo, thanks for having, for giving us your time. We definitely appreciate. We know you're busy guys, so
the pleasure's all ours.
Well, everyone, we will see you on another episode of Top Clack next Thursday at 6, or you'll see me tomorrow at 8 p.m. Pacific for the Castle Design build stream. Feel free to check out our YouTube channel, where we have a ton of other content, as well as more content we're working on to be released really soon. We also have a cool Discord you can join as well and say hi to hang out with us. So until next time,
you can say hi to Alvin and Yanbo.
Yeah.
They're both in the Discord now as well, so get in on that Top Clack Discord action below the stream.
Hang out. You'll find me mostly in the food and drink channel.
Oh, yeah.
That might be my favorite channel on the Discord.
It's the most lit channel.
It's pretty good.
Well, until next time, everyone, take care. Hope you enjoyed Top Clack.